Hey baby, so today I'm going to remind you of what GodMind is, and I'm going to explain what human experience is and what avatar consciousness is and all this stuff. Basically, there's only one consciousness, and it starts to experience it itself through imagination, and it creates basically like your computer evolution nowadays in the human realm. It was like basic mathematical operations, subtraction, division, addition, and then geometries, and then it creates these mandalas or fractals that are then saved as shapes of like, okay, let's try, make a sphere and then mirror the sphere and then rotate the sphere and then create a mandala. You have apps that simulate this. And so everything is conscious of everything because this is all happening within one consciousness. And then the consciousness can create like little rooms with special functions, like let's project a piece of the consciousness only in this bubble, and there will be only dividing. Now everything that is sent from another function to this function is being divided. And it's like your basic programming. And so a being is created when a function is assigned to that aspect of consciousness that is doing that in that particular arrangement or order. And this will be like replicate as above so below. So in the human realm you have your unique profession and you are, I don't know, programmer or baker or something, doctor, so you have something to do that you know how to do, and it's unique to you, and you go there and you also serve your community by doing what you do. So easy peasy, right? As above so below. Now, in the superconscious or any realm of experience where there is no apparent duality, so there's no simulation of duality, because experiencing yourself as other than life or other than God is like basically a simulator. It's an experience, okay? It's like a console, reality, construct, video game, something like this. It's still within God, it's still live, but you can experience yourself like in a really room, in your own compartmentalized sphere, your soul, and you can have different trips here, different experiences here, where you do not recognize like higher nature of reality or whatever, right? Now, this is because you were enclosed in a sphere for your chosen purpose, and you will experience that purpose until you have satisfied your experience. Okay? And you are also just the extension of one consciousness, which is always one, which is just looking through the unique lens of that sphere, your soul, your room, your compartment. So, in the superconscious realm, there are beings that are individualized and have their own purpose. They play their own games or they do their own thing. They all do it joyfully because everything is superconsciousness, everything is blissful, there's no pain and suffering, right? So these would be like your angels or whatever, like machine elves or whatever GodMind creatures are just like going about Teletubbies, building universes. And the nature of these beings is like always like pretty goofy, pretty playful, sometimes serious, but like they're just functions of the one, right? So every being is a function of the one. And they don't suffer, but they do not choose through their own free will. They choose through their function. Now, all of these little workers, little busy bees, like angels and gods and demigods and whatnot, like functions of the God mind, which are all one, all of them get to incarnate to Earth and come here and be like in the simulator, where you actually get to become an experience, like an enjoyer of a movie, of an art show, of a theatrical play. It's a costume play or like a RPG role-playing game where all of these beings, you guys, you're playing to be some little guy in a big ass adventure, right? And everything feels like infinite, like the holographic simulator creates everything is like infinitely big, so you're like lost in the world, and then now you're experiencing ice cream and all this stuff. And so because now you have actually free will to choose your experience, you might end up choosing the things that negate your divine essence, which is unity, love, and then end up in a perpetual mode of like suffering, because it is informing your choices that you're like going away from your nature into this construct, into this trip. And so there's this like whole era where actually human experience is dominated by what we call darkness, or just the ignorance of our own nature, which is really thrilling for us as angels or gods, or demigods, or whatever functions of the God mind, because we are here in something where it's like completely crazy. And even though we do even kill each other or suffer on this plane, this is like a video game for your higher self. It's like so much fun. Okay, and then you don't really die. It's just you get into this like bubble, and then you get into your human skin, and then you're like experiencing things, leaking, smelling. So you're really enjoying a reality construct which is made for show. Okay, it's made for show. It's like a playground. Because this reality is mirroring the higher realities, in some of the realms or the other reality constructs, you also have free play mode, but you don't have duality mode. So still, like, you have other individuals that are playing, but it's like more benign, because like you're made of light, and like if I cut you in half, you're just like put yourself back together, so like no harm can be done. And even no harm can be done in this realm, but you can still experience like stress or trauma or physical distress or something like not pleasant. Okay, while in the high realms they're made for play. Okay, so the God mind construct is like every function of the God mind construct, every being is working for the whole, and they're just like they're joyfully like building, creating stuff and scenarios and whatnot. And then in the realms, you can also be enjoying the scenarios and reality constructs, and experiencing all kind of stuff. So there's like the developer mode, the God mind, and then the realms, which are imagine like console with like video game simulations, right? So your God mind would be your like Super Nintendo or Nintendo Switch or whatever. But then the constructs are these games that are developed that you can go, and they're like Tetris and Mario Kart and like infinite titles. Now it's funny that our human actually games and fantasy games do mirror the realms and what you can experience in the realms. And then we come down to this like very specific realm, which is also mirroring everything else, as above so below. But in this realm you have this like negation of your own nature, which is weird, at least to say, or darkness or something. And when you step into like away from the light and into the darkness, you experience entropy, because everything there is like a vacuum cleaner, just like dog eat dog, just like demons are eating each other away into like pure consciousness. So it's like a thrilling horror or a nightmare type of experience, which we are subscribing into because our own free will, as the one being many and then having infinite perspectives and free will playtime to also enjoy, and then you choose to have this or that experience because you want to know what kind of like game, what kind of like artwork you created as these GodMind or subsequent functions of the GodMind that are reality developers or whatnot. Okay, now avatar consciousness in the human realm, and so basically you come into unique individuality, and that's your soul, and then you incarnate into unique lifetime, and then you preset experiences for yourself. And you're in sort of a virtual reality, so whatever your life adventure is kind of like creating for you, it's predetermined by your contract. You preloaded a lifetime for yourself. Now, at a predestined point, you can have an awakening, or because of traumatic experience overload, you can have the awakening, or like maybe suicide, or maybe you like escape the realm because it was too, like you couldn't find your way around it, right? So either there was like an awakening preset it in your script, or something triggers you to awaken that was like kind of like during your lifetime you create some free will choices that led you into deeper darkness, and then you couldn't like really handle it. So after awakening, what happens? Well, your actual virtual reality in your life will get the script for your human experience will get defragmented, and you will get higher reality insight, where you realize that you are the God mind projecting infinite realities, and then coming as an individual to play inside of that construct. Now realizing that you are that, I am that, which is like actually the governor, the supreme creator, the source, whatever you want to call it, of the entire freaking game, it changes the paradigm for your character. Simply because while you are under impression of this human reality where like you're a small hero in a big ass adventure and you don't know how it works, and then you need to go on an adventure of asking people how something works and learning from them, and then finding your way about everything. Okay. And this is what you do. You talk to people, you use your intellect to learn things, your body remembers things, and so you gain more kind of like experience points in this reality, and then you're able to advance your experience into whatever niche you have pre-selected for yourself, etc. But if you are bridging into your higher self, which is ultimately, well, first of all, your soul unit that made choices for your incarnation, but then beyond that is literally God itself, the infinite self, just providing itself with infinite amusement, then your baseline for interfacing with this reality construct becomes that which creates reality. Okay? Which is not you as a human, but you as a consciousness that creates the God minds that then subfeeds the reality construct. So you are then literally source in as itself and also in flesh. Now, as that, your creativity is not limited by any physical law or circumstance of your reality, but is in fact top to bottom creation. Like whatever you are like interfacing and choosing from your human perspective can be recreated, like recreation or reinterpretation from source. So take this for example, like Moses splitting the sea. So it's not Moses the person doing that, but it's a God through Moses creating, like just using the map editor of that reality construct to like split something, right? So as on a physical level or intellectual level or emotional level, Moses cannot do that, okay? But on a higher level where you are the God mind, you're activating your interconnectedness through the levels with that higher chakra, which is like the God mind console. And so from that, you're installing an operation as a function of this reality construct that then updates this reality. So when you are under the impression of being like a working class hero, and like then you need to walk and talk and like discover how agencies of this reality construct work, and bit by bit you can advance in a physical level. You learn how to walk as a baby, then you're walking, then you learn how to talk, communicate, and do all this stuff. And you can still kind of like play that. You can jump, you can do physical jumping, and you can climb the tree and get the apple. But like let's say Jesus or some other yogi, they turn the water into wine, not going to the store to get the wine. So this is a non-local rearrangement of reality, which is basically just understanding this sequence of compartments that create like a nested set of components within its reality. So my human first-person experience is a subcompartment of a larger reality, which is my soul, which is some subcompartment of this universal realm or reality construct, which is subcompartment of the God mind. All of these subcompartments are actually within the awareness of that which is experiencing this human, and it's also experiencing itself as the soul tree, as the cosmos, as the God mind projecting this cosmos. And there are infinite cosmoses, right? So it seems like a lot of things if you think in a linear fashion, but if you think in a holographic fashion, all of these nested sets of like compartments, they're this big. Everything can actually fit in a dot. But from that dot, which is singularity or oneness, and there's one consciousness, you can go into dot and you can create infinite knots and funnels and pretzels, and so you get like this multi-dimensional experience. So now if you know how to flip the pretzel, then there are infinite wormholes and portals and connections between realms, and you can go like in pretzel ways and just like there's infinite ways to do things, because it's not only that you're not just limited to this one reality, which is your human experience here and now, but every other reality you're also connected to through the server, okay, or through the console that's projecting infinite universes. So like I would experience having like a twin flame connection, and then we fall asleep and we actually go into this experience where we're Pokemons and we're chasing each other in like a little Pikachu fashion, and then come back in here in this body, wake up, and I'm like, do you remember what we were doing? Like while we were sleeping here, we were Pokemons. And she's like, I don't remember, I need to go to work. Okay, so now you are here inside of this experience, and basically you're killing time, and just like there's infinite time to kill, and you're just like watching the trees and licking the ice cream and, you know, having your coffee or whatever is interesting to you. And you're realizing, okay, you're also liberated from actually having to take anything seriously or suffer from the illusory nature of like, I'm a person that's separate from the world. I am that which experiences the world in which I am constructing myself as a little Super Mario avatar, and then like the whole reality construct is within me, so I can go inside, climb the tree, pick the apple, go like, I don't know, do push-ups, touch it, lick it, smell it. But also I can redream the infrastructure, and actually it's effortless for you outside of space and time and the whole reality construct, and to just press buttons in the GodMind and press buttons in this console of this cosmos projection, and then just like to, you know, have something manifest. So really you need to then use the higher mind components if you want to, you know, browse different realities or reinterpret this reality in any way without physically, emotionally, or intellectually interfacing with this reality. Intellect being the subcompartment of the GodMind that is localized to your own unique experience relating to the world of objects. So in the intellect, we call ego, this is the dialectical mind that says, I have a logic that helps me interpret my body in the world of other bodies. So there are like these other objects that I can physically collide with, like the car or the train, and this intellect helps me to, you know, give them linguistic nomenclature. So I call that a car, I call this coffee cup, I call this like a little spoon, and that helps me navigate objects in this reality. And when we have the awakening to our higher nature, we also kind of like use this language that is like inherent to our human experience, but in the language of human is always like subject verb object, you know, or subject verb the other, like, hey, I'm going to give you a proposition. Okay, so there's always like little verbal placeholders for like different things. So this mind is dividing everything. It's a left brain that divides everything into pieces. And if we only listen to this left brain, we can then assume that all these pieces are separate. If we fuse the left brain and the right brain, we can also know that this nomenclature of separation and subject, verb, object exists within unity. So it's just like a function of the intellect, is just a function that describes this reality, just a subtitle. If we're trying to define everything with the left brain, we will end up in this like neurotic, scientific, like objective materialism, which then feels actually cringy, because we never can experience like just feeling and like actually flow and unity that is the emotional side or the feminine side, that kind of like gives us this abstract, poetic, and like through the right brain you can just like feel like everything is like breathing together with you, right? So you are kind of like more interconnected with the object that seem also other because they have their physical boundaries. So something to then be aware of in the journey of awakening. Don't get stuck with the intellectual A leads to B, B leads to C, because also there's the quantum of like, you don't really need to have a linear sequence. You can go ABC or you can go A to X. If you quantum shift, if you quantum jump, which is the function of your higher mind, that can like from up here, it can just like bring the X without you even physically moving or emotionally doing something or just like intellectually figuring out what and how. So you just use this higher aspect, the God mind, okay, or like Christos Logos, whatever you want to call it, like you bring something into your reality. So water changes into wine. It does not need intellectual reasoning to do so. It needs actually just faith, which is a feeling that connects you through the compartmentalization or the nested sets of compartments. The faith connects you into this, your higher being, basically. Okay, so let's talk about prayer real quick, because it's really interesting just to know that when you do like this, it's creating like an energetic synergy between your left and your right, and also down these nested sets of compartments. So your soul, your oversoul, the universe console, and then the GodMind. And then whatever you're saying, you're actually pinging the whole setup to enforce or put something into movement. So you're creating like bottom to top, top to bottom. There's a holistic way to create here. So you cannot intellectually understand how powerful this then invocation of the whole system into this reality is, because your intellect is only subscribing to this horizontal preview and the world of bodies in space or different objects, and has a nomenclature for that, and then remembers different relationships between you and your car, you and your mom, you and your dog, you and your coffee, you and your, like, and the intellect does this. Intellect cannot explain this. You need your higher mind to actually understand. You need your intuition to start to read the imagery of the higher mind or spirit, whatever you want to call it, to see how everything works. And then you have been given a simple prescription to pray by, I don't know if, like, who taught humanity how to pray, like, was it Jesus or some other person that mastered the nature of this reality and the nature of self. They had the self-realization as the completeness of everything. So, but it was said before, it was shared before, like, okay, do the prayer, right? And I'm just saying why this actually prayer works. So if you have a wish, a desire, this reality is is created for you to experience your wishes and desires, and just like play with that. And you can set it into motion by simply asking for it. And Jesus said also, ask and it is given. Ask is given. So that's like super simple, super effortless way. And then you're asking, right? If it's coming from yourself that is connected to this higher self and the higher self and the higher self, then your asking is also just going to be really funny. It's going to be really effortless. It's going to be like, yeah, okay, this is like fun. I'm enjoying this reality construct, so I'm asking, and then choo. And it's very simple. To your intellect that is informed in a linear fashion about object being here, which is relative, but to the intellect it is absolute reality, the empirical, materialistic reality. We say, okay, I don't have a car, I don't have money, I don't have a house. To your left brain it appears so, but to your higher mind, this is relative. Okay, it's just a quantum arrangement of things in a reality construct, which is like a game console or virtual reality. So it's really relative if something is showing up. And so when having spiritual awakening, you need to stop determining what is real or not real based on the information that you're picking up from the objective reality, because this, what is the objective reality here, is absolutely relative on the level of the computer where you are creating that reality from. And then a really nice way again to synchronize what you wish for, what you're emotionally liking, what you're interpreting, what you're trying to be rational about, and what you're creating as God that you are from this like console emanation. A really nice way to synchronize all of this is just to say, okay, I'm bringing all of my energies together, the higher mind, the mind that's trying to be rational or overthinking, over scientific, over left brain. So like bringing the higher mind, the subcompartment of my individual mind, my subtitle, my ego, and my heart, and all my energies here together, and we're saying, yo, God, give some ice cream. Yeah, thank you. And ice cream shows up. So ain't that fun little surprise after you subscribe into being your physical self, learning about physical reality, learning about the world through this objective materialism, and then actually growing up and finding out that okay, but it's all a dream that I'm projecting from a different instance, and now experiencing from this instance, and then let's have some synchronization between these instances, and ta-ra-la-la, voila, there you go.